Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off, completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed.
Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going.
It's Tuesday!
It's Tuesday, everyone. We're so glad you're
Not
here.
exactly Tuesday. Thanks for coming. But it's not really Tuesday. For us, it's Thursday.
Yes, that's
This
true.
is how showbiz works, people. It's all smoke and mirrors. We can't be live. We have way too much to cut out.
That's called production.
Right. Well, welcome to CK and GK. We're two moms who are also teachers.
Who pretend to adult on a regular basis.
We know lots of things.
And there's even more that we don't know.
Our approach to teaching is all about fun and practicality, so come laugh and learn with us. Speaking of with us, today Caitlin is with me and I messed up last week. We recorded on St. Patrick's Day and I compared her to Carrie Gold. And I came upstairs and told my husband I was so proud of my introduction. And he said, no, Jen. She's the little lass with a wee bit of sass.
It's perfect. That is, I would say that's about right. Good job, JK. That's amazing. Well done. Well, in the spirit of our theme of today, I'm gonna say
Charge!
I'm gonna say she gave Marla Hooch a new dress and a whole lot of liquor. It's May Mortabito right in front of me here, all the way May. Yay!
All the way May.
All the
That's a
way
name
May.
and an attitude.
And maybe one day she's trying to draw a crowd and oops, her bosoms pop out. Who knows? I don't.
Oops. So there is a scene in this movie,
Yeah.
The League of Their Own, where All the Way May catches a ball in her cap.
It's beautiful. It's such a good scene.
Okay. This is the part of the movie where they're trying to draw up attention because the league is going to get shut down. And she's like, oh no, Miss Rich, Mr. Chocolate Man, you ain't shutting me down. So they come up with all of these stunts, right? Dottie catches a ball behind her back and does the splits. And Rosie O'Donnell's character can throw two balls at one time. Well, All the Way May, Madonna, pulls off her ball cap and catches a ball in it. Well, many years ago, I caught a foul ball in my hat.
No, was it on purpose?
Yes. Yes. I saw it coming. I took off my hat and I caught it in my hat. And I will tell you, I never want to catch another foul ball for the rest of my baseball going career.
To go out on a high note.
Exactly. There is nothing better than catching a ball in your cap, just like All the Way May.
All the way May. Also, I don't know what you thought her name was spelled like. I always thought it was M-A-Y. It is not.
It's not.
According to movie scripts, it's M-A-E. And I thought her name was Montevideo. It's not. It's Mortabito. Who knew? Not this person.
I would not have been able to come up with the last name.
No.
I only have a nickname. Just like I do not know Betty Spaghetti's last name.
Isn't it? No. Betty, I want to say Horn, but I don't think that's right.
I can say Marla Hooch. I know that.
Yeah, what a hitter.
And Dottie Henson.
Henson. It's Henson with an I. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's not Henson like Jim Henson, the Muppet guy.
Oh.
It's Henson.
Who plays like Gary, but looks like Garbo.
And her kid sister Kit. We could do this all day long. Let's probably stop.
When I was in 7th grade, a bunch of my girlfriends and I dressed up like the Rockford Peaches for Halloween.
It's perfect. We have had that happen like with a bunch of our friends where they'll dress up as like Jimmy Dugan and like have some girls dressed up as Rockford
Are
Peaches
you
around.
crying?
She's crying, sir.
Are you crying? There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball.
Still well, Angel. Have another chocolate bar.
Okay, so today is going to be an hour of us quoting League of Their Own.
We'll just recite the movie for you.
Yes. If you want, you could just put on the movie and turn the sound down and then have us running in the background.
I think that a commentary on that would be hysterical. Although I would probably just sit there and stare at it because I love it so much.
We could have a live event where we stream the movie and then all of our listeners can listen to us talk about it.
It's a great movie. If you are not a fan, you need to change your mind because it's amazing. So, before we get into too much more stuff on our topic of baseball today, I want to really quickly give a shout out to Designated Quizzers because Jenny and I did a recording with them last week and were really, really, really having the best time and ended up, well, I'm not going to tell you the outcome, but we did a trivia show with them and they stumped us a number of times and we stumped them right back. And it was really, really fun. So thank you to Designated Quizzers for having us on their show.
In January, we did a show about self-care.
Yep.
Dude, this was self-care for me. It was incredible. I had so much fun. I really, truly enjoyed myself. It was fun to be challenged mentally and to sit there and laugh and make new friends. Thank you for having us on your show. And please look at your calendar and find out when we can come back.
Yeah, we want to. It was really, really fun. So Designated Quizzers, and when we have more information, we'll post it on social for when that show will air. I'm not really sure when that's coming up, but I'm sure it'll be in the near future. So thank you to Jason and Lisa for having us. Okay, so time to sit down. Circle time. Let's do it.
Crisscross applesauce.
I'm gonna say we'll start with sports. I'm gonna keep it light for sports, and I'm gonna refrain. But I'm sure you have something.
The only thing I have also relates to baseball because last week I was ranting about how excited I was that they were taking this ghost runner, the runner on second during extra innings, away. Well, apparently there's tag backs in these negotiations.
Ew.
So the thing that I had forgotten about that was like super important was they extended the number of teams that were going into the playoffs. Duh, I should have known that. But the Ghost Runner is back, but apparently only for the 2022 season. So if the game goes into extra innings, they will start with a man on second. Oh, all right. That's all I got.
But it's only for this season and it won't happen again next season.
That's what they said. It's only for this season. They also said that baseball was going to start in April. So there's that. So that brings us to the next segment, which is Gem of the Week.
Okay.
And this has turned into what have I done wrong this week? You know, like Caitlin has all these stories about her family, like other people saying funny things. And it's like, oh, what did I screw up on this week?
I mean, I saved the ones I really screwed up on for myself.
So first off, total side note, before we even go to this, I found in my desk drawer today a package of white sticky notes.
Wait.
Right?
Like regular paper white, not like cream?
They're like regular sticky notes, like the 2x2 or whatever they are, squares, sticky notes, but they were white. And like the idea of Post-its is they're like supposed to stand out on the paper, right? So I guess these are for use like on colored paper. I don't know, but they were white.
But that's actually, I'm just thinking of like all the things that I would have used them for, like when I was making copies as a teacher, like I would have put it over something that I wanted to like change or you know what I'm saying? Like how many worksheets did I make, especially when I was teaching math,
like
where I would like
temporary
handwrite
whiteout.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Where I would handwrite something like a handwritten worksheet that I would make copies of.
Oh yeah,
with
please.
problems on it. Yeah, that would have been really helpful for that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Okay, so when I showed, yeah, right, I didn't either. So when I showed it to one of my students, they looked at me and said, I have feelings about that, but I'm not quite sure what they are yet.
That's how I feel. I think overall I approve, but
it was too funny. I was like, white sticky notes. Here I am, 38 years old, never seen them before.
Yeah, no, me neither.
So we refinanced our house.
Yay.
And
congratulations.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. This process is over. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a nightmare. So I'm with you.
But at the closing, because we were doing a cash out, we had to close in an office, like in person, right? We couldn't just do it at our house and like sign the paperwork and send it in.
Ugh.
It's fine. Our notary was amazing.
Oh,
She
that's
was
good.
super sweet, very flexible in scheduling, like awesome, explaining everything to us. Like she was super great. She also is my new best friend because she thinks I'm funny.
Did you say, also, we have a podcast. You should listen.
Oh, I told her about our show. I was like, if you think I'm funny now, I know that you're going to be making a 16-hour drive to Arizona because that's how much conversation we had together. I said, you could listen to my show on the way.
Perfect. This is why we need business cards. Just like
Yes.
hand it to her.
So, like at one point, one of the paperwork we have to sign is a T-37. And I was like, oh, that sounds like an airplane. Quick, 2:00, T-37.
Mm-mm.
And John is rolling his eyes back as far as they will go. I mean, if he wore glasses, he would be looking over the top of them at me. He was just obviously like, dude, let's just sign these papers and get out of here.
And finish,
Meanwhile, we are cackling over my version of humor. So, Caitlin, we might be adding a guest to the show who is a notary.
Hey, I used to be a notary. Did you know that? In another
I
life.
did not know that. Do you have
Yeah.
your stamp? Do you
Yeah,
like
I
keep
still
it?
have my stamp. You have to keep the paperwork. I don't know how long you have to keep it for, but yeah, you have to keep it.
You should get a tattoo of your stamp. Like a tramp
weird.
stamp of your notary stamp.
What on earth? And mine wasn't a cool circle one. It was a rectangular one.
Yeah, she had a rectangle one. I've seen the circle ones. They're pretty baller.
Yeah, that's the one. I want the one that does that, but also leaves an indentation on the paper. Like where it raises the paper up. Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Yeah, I was a notary for like 2 years, or maybe just a year. No. Your notary licensing lasts for a certain number of years, but I only did it with my previous job as a bank teller for like a year, and then I just was a notary. So I would have friends who were like, "Oh, I need this notarized," and I'd be like, "Here."
Like, of course. Yeah.
I kept it in my desk drawer at work.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and then I would. I think I notarized things for my husband before we were married, like way back in the day, like when we were super long time ago.
You know what I was licensed as before I was a teacher?
Mm-mm.
A mold and asbestos inspector.
You know how there are those people in your life who have literally done a little bit of every single thing?
Like working at Fazoli's for 3 days?
That's Jenny. She seriously has done a little bit of everything. It's hysterical. Who's a mold inspector? Like what?
And actually, if we're going by title, I was a mold assessment consultant. This is a level higher than inspector.
Hey, that's pretty fancy. Did that come with the pay raise? Title changes matter. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I do get a different badge.
Nice. See? Fancier. One that flips up instead of one that you have to
Oh my gosh, that would have been so great. And I have a big metallic M.
Or like a picture of mold spores.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, we can design this. I'm interested now.
I want a mold inspector badge. And maybe a sitcom
to go along with.
Like Dragnet for mold.
Oh my god. Mold spore.
Dun, 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 dun. That's the Get Smart.
Also, you're the oldest person ever. This is
why I don't identify with the term elder millennial, because really I'm a boomer. So.
You're at least Gen X. What are you doing?
Okay, so if there's time for one more story, I have one more.
There is.
Okay, so we're at school the other day, and someone I teach with, this is going to be her last time or last year with the school, because she is getting married and moving to live where her husband lives in Guam.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm telling the students, I'm like, yeah, she's going to move to Guam. And one student looks at me, deadpan, almost angry in her face. Guam? Really, miss? Guam. That's a fruit.
Oh, honey.
No. You are thinking of guava, which is a fruit. I assure you, Guam is indeed a place.
Did you like bust out a map? That's when you have to like show pictures. You
Yes,
like
yes, yes, yes.
Google map.
Yes, I
and
have a
just put
world
it up on
map
the
in my
screen.
classroom, and I
Yup.
said, "Can we please show on the map where Guam is?"
That's a fruit. Oh, honey. Oh God, I love middle
She
school
was
kids so
just as
much.
sure that Guam was a fruit as I was that temporary license plates have the date of sale on them.
That was so good.
And if you're not laughing, it's because you did not listen last
Right.
week. So back and listen and hear the story of how, yet again, I've embarrassed myself.
Oh God, we all have stories like that. Don't worry. My eye is watering because that's a fruit. Like so serious about it.
Oh,
And
yes.
so sure.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
That's a fruit.
okay.
Why are you trying to pull this over on us? Is she going to jail or something? Like, why are you telling her she's going to Guam?
It's a cover story
Yeah.
for her like new life
Like,
in
oh yeah, she's moving
witness
to Lemon.
protection.
No, Lebanon. Lebanon is a place. Lemon is a fruit.
Wait, that's linguine, right? Like you're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
linguine. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so speaking of dumb stories about yourself, have you ever felt like a boss because you did something that was so basic skill, but you did it correctly?
Oh yeah. I changed the battery in the bubble gun today.
Yeah, stuff like that, where you just feel super cool. You figure something out.
I needed a screwdriver.
Yeah, where you're like, I'm a relatively handy person. Okay, so like this has happened a couple of times fairly recently, and both of these times involved my toilet. And so during the pandemic, when everyone was out super buying toilet paper and causing a panic, we did not do that. And I was just like, you know what? Like, let's hold out, see what happens, and let's get a bidet. Well, bidets obviously skyrocketed in price, and everybody was buying those too. So I put that on the back burner, and I was like, we're just going to make this work. And when Amazon Treasure Truck, by the way, if you don't know what Amazon Treasure Truck is, you need to go Google that and sign up because it's amazing. That's how we got our Instant Pot. Just putting that out there.
I'm just saying I'm not allowed to shop on Amazon.
That's true.
I don't know if I've told our listeners yet, but I've been banned from Amazon. Not by Amazon, but by our pocketbook.
Right. It's so easy to just make a quick purchase. All you have to do is
I'm allowed to
swipe.
order from other places, but I'm not allowed to know the Amazon login information.
So Amazon Treasure Truck posted, hey, we have bidets. So I bought one. So that's how we got it. Well, I am
Today, bidet.
You know that line in Wet Hot American Summer when he's like, day, bidet. That's what I'm thinking of right now. Such a good movie. Okay, so this bidet sat outside the bathroom for probably like the better part of 2 months because I was too terrified of plumbing to try and
Right.
attach it myself. Like I'm not a plumber. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm
No.
fairly handy, but I also have ADHD and I don't read the directions. I'll skip a whole step, a crucial step. So as I'm like getting frustrated and like I start to get into these sort of modes where I need to clean every single thing and clutter bothers me and I start organizing everything and I go kind of nuts. And one of the things that was driving me nuts was the bidet. And so I was like, forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and hook it up. So I do. And I forgot the washer. And the first time that I turned it on and used it, water leaked all over my floor. And I panicked, but I was like, oh, that little rubber thing. Oh, I needed that. So I unhooked it and I put it together correctly. And now we have a bidet that works and I haven't messed that up.
Right. We have talked about this on the show before.
Yes, that was the first time it happened. Well, the second time that I felt like a boss was just this last weekend, again involving the toilet. And here's what happened. In my bathroom, in front of the toilet, about 3 feet, there's a floor-to-ceiling cabinet.
Oh.
And it's just storage. So at the very top is stuff that you don't really need very often, but you do need on occasion. So for us, it's like
Toilet paper, because she got a bidet.
No. Oh my God, that's so gross. Um, which she doesn't even use toilet paper. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it's like travel accessories. So like the little things you put all your dob kit, stuff like that. Okay, so the first time that I did something stupid with this, what happened was I stood on the toilet lid after the bidet had been attached, which loosens the toilet seat and lid. If you have your bidet attached, it's like it's not sitting as
Oh.
flush as it once was. So
Were you trying to hang a clock?
no.
Because if you are standing on the toilet and you are trying to hang a clock and you slip off, you can invent time travel.
Knew that's where you're going with that. Copernicus
The flux
and
capacitor.
Einstein. Exactly.
It's what makes time travel possible.
And a good lightning strike.
I mean, maybe I am Gen X.
Maybe you are. I think you might be. Yeah. We're the same age,
Okay.
but you're Gen X and I'm elder
Yeah,
millennial
for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
Okay. So the first time this happened, I reached across from the toilet lid that I was standing on, like not the seat, but the lid, and I was reaching 3 feet in front of me and up. And I slipped and I cracked the toilet lid thing that holds the actual toilet seat on. So you know those two little clicky things in the back of the seat
Right,
that you're
right.
supposed to be able to take off so you can clean your toilet?
Mhm.
Yes. Just so you know, you can take those off. So I cracked one of them. Then I was like, okay, I shouldn't do that anymore. Then my husband did the same thing, but he like cracked it a little bit more. So I looked at him and I was like, okay, I
Should
think
I
we both
introduce you to the step ladder?
we have one. But it's in the laundry room and that's kind of far. So I didn't
That's a
want to go
different
get it.
that's a different room.
Right.
What?
I'm not no.
Why would you carry it?
No, it's big and heavy. I don't want to do that. So I was like, okay, we need to agree that we're not going to do this anymore because when we do, it will break the toilet seat. And my dumb self decides right before we went to, I forget where we were going. We might have been going to some overnight thing. Anyway, I did it again. I stood up on it again. And this time, because it was already cracked, it slid out from under me and I fell and hit the door.
Oh no.
Like hard, not to the point where I like knocked myself out and hurt myself, but I hit hard and I was like, "Ooh, okay, that was not a smart choice. Remember how I said I shouldn't do that anymore?" And I told my husband we're not going to do that anymore. And then I did it again.
And then you totes did.
And then I did it.
Ugh.
And then because the toilet seat was loose, I completely cracked it and it was sliding off. So like only like this tiny little screw was holding the whole toilet seat on. And I'm so lazy that I was like, I'm going to look up how to measure for a toilet seat so I know exactly what size I need. It's a standard size. Like it's not a big deal, right? I could have easily found it.
Oh my gosh, no. My parents in their rent house that they had when they first moved up here to Austin, they had these tiny little pre-K toilets. They were so small. It was like you had to have some skill.
Yeah, there's like a round bowl and an elongated bowl and blah blah blah. So anyway,
No,
I
this was
knew
like a miniature bowl. Like we might call it a cup.
I like I was like, I'm gonna go buy a toilet seat. I'm gonna go buy a toilet seat. Well, the hardware store is right near my son's swim lessons. I could have just like dropped off my son at swim lessons, run up there, come back down, and been back in time. No, no, no. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, and I didn't do it. And finally, this weekend, I did it, and I installed the toilet seat without screwing it up majorly. I did, of course, miss a step, make a mistake, and have to like go, oh, and then fix it. But I installed the toilet seat, a new one that doesn't slide, that when you sit on it, you would like sit on it and it would like slide out from under you. You know, like when you were in school and you would lean back too far in your chair and you see death for a second.
Right.
That's what was happening on this toilet seat. And as the primary user of the seat,
True.
it was not a good situation. So I felt so stinking cool when I finally
Did you get one of
fixed this
those
thing.
cushy ones that you sit on it and it like squishes?
No, because I'm not a boomer like you are. I did not do that. Like I
have
bought
always
a
thought those are so gross because I'm like, whatever sponge I'm sitting on is like absorbing urine.
But can I just tell you, I really did think about like, I wonder if those are here. I never planned to get one, but I really did think like, what if those are here right now?
Don't get those.
No, gross.
We lived in one house where we had wooden toilet seats where also like I was like, wood is not like
It's fine if it's your thing, but also it doesn't seem as hygienic as I would want it to be. Like, make mine be as hygienic as possible, please.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
good for you.
Yeah, I felt
Installing
really
a
cool.
toilet seat.
I felt
You should feel
so cool. Yeah.
And every time you pee, you can like, I did this.
Oh, every time I lift the seat up or I put the lid down and it goes down slowly, I'm like, that's because it's a
That's
new
right.
toilet. Because the other one used to slam really loud.
Did you get an extra one for when you and your husband continue to stand on it to try and get stuff out of the cabinet?
No, because they're like $50 each. I'm not doing that.
You know what costs less than $50? Step stool.
Yeah, it does. And I need to get one that's tall enough to get me up there. Because like just the little traditional tiny ones.
Instead of a step stool. Oh no. Instead of a step stool or a step ladder, you should get that reach and claw. You know the thing I'm talking about? That's like
the one with the dino head or just the regular one?
Yeah.
I'm into it. I could do that. Yeah, that would be a great way to grab the vitamin bottles that are way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that way, if you ever like are in a hover round, like you could still reach things too.
But yeah, that was me just feeling like super cool. I think I walked around like the rest of the day, like, yeah, I fixed the toilet seat.
You didn't just fix it, you installed it.
I installed it. And it's a slow close one, which means it doesn't slam really loudly anymore.
We don't have that at our house, so that's fancy.
Well, it was $50. It better do something fancy.
I mean, it's a hell of a step stool. There's that.
It's much sturdier now, for sure.
All right. Well, I stumbled across something on the internet that I am like super obsessed with.
Okay.
And I shared it with someone and I said, I just found out the coolest thing. I'm so excited. And they were like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, no. You have to be super excited. So if you are not excited about this, I don't even care. I need the response that you think it's amazing.
Okay. I can do that.
Color-coded egg hunt. Every kid has a color that they look for instead of just find as many eggs as you can.
Oh, I like that idea. That's a good way to make it
that
nice
is the
and
response
equitable.
I needed.
Yeah.
Right? So I have a 3-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Uh-huh.
Who's going to find more eggs?
Right.
I am going to do color-coded egg hunt. Abigail, these are your colors. Kit, these are yours.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever did this, but my family always did. The oldest child has to go last, so we always let the youngest one go first, and then when everyone got taller than me, they let the shortest one go first, which was really nice.
We let the kids hide them for us after they find them from us.
Oh, that's cute. I like that idea. Yeah, I think I might.
We also do a treasure hunt on International Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Isn't that like September 19th or something like that?
September 19th.
I only remember because we taught together and the kids would always say, oh yeah, it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. And you sure would be talking like a pirate the entire day. It was amazing. Okay, so I love that idea. Let's see, what am I into right now? My chair, this beauty. For my birthday, my husband got me a shiatsu massage chair that I now have on my work chair.
Oh, that'd be nice, matey.
I did not expect you to do that. So yeah, so I can today I was listening to a webinar and I needed to pay attention, but I could feel myself kind of losing it. And I just turned on my massage chair and there's a neck part. So I just sat back and let the neck part roll onto my neck and it was amazing. So this is my new favorite place in the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you ever say that beforehand?
No.
You just said your desk is your favorite place in the house.
I do like my new desk. You've seen it.
Oh no, your
like
desk is great.
But
don't get me wrong.
It shouldn't. No one's home office should be their favorite space in the house, for sure. Okay, but before we do this, for our listeners, my birthday was the other day, and an Amazon package showed up at my house today, and I think it's from Jenny.
Oh so my gosh, I'm so excited about this.
Okay, I'm gonna open it right now, like while we're recording.
This is the kind of present that only your podcast co-host could give you. Like I told Caitlin earlier in a text, it's funny and kind of useful, like our show.
Oh, I like how the kind of is in there too.
Oh, for sure, kind of.
All right.
And if you hate it, you should be able to exchange it pretty easily.
You probably won't hate it. No. Oh my God.
It's an ear cleaner that connects to your phone so you can see inside your ear.
I'm not even going to pretend I'm not going to use it because I'm totally
Read the card, read the card, read the card.
Oh my God. You can learn more about your gift. No, just kidding. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Happy birthday. Only a true friend can buy you an ear-igator. Tell your doctor you quit Q-tips cold turkey. Much love from Jenny. I need to quit Q-tips. I really like them.
Well, now you can. You can see if your ears are clean or not.
It's not about the clean. It's about how, you know, like when you have water coming out of your ears, it's about that feeling of like feeling like there's ears dripping, but this is gonna make it so much better. I'm actually really excited.
I figured it would be both funny and amazing.
Only a real friend will know what you needed for your birthday. That you didn't know you wanted and you didn't know you needed it. It was an ear-igator. You can see things on your phone. Oh my God, I'm so glad I waited to open this until we were recording. This is so funny.
Me too.
Perfect.
Me too. Because initially I was very disappointed to learn that it was not going to be delivered on time. As you know, I am not permitted to shop on Amazon. So I told my husband exactly what I wanted to order. And I said at the end of the day on Tuesday, I was like, oh, has Caitlin's gift been delivered yet? And he was like, no, it's coming on Thursday. And I was like, Thursday? He said, yeah, Jen, not everything has overnight shipping.
Ew.
I said, oh. No, I
It's
thought
been a long
everything on
time since you've
Amazon.
been on Amazon.
Yeah, he was. I thought everything on Amazon comes the next day. He was like, no. And this again is why you cannot shop on Amazon.
Right.
I need this for tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and pay for it now. It's $150, no big deal. Then it comes in 3 days. Yeah, no. So he was like, no. I already ordered it. It's gonna come on Thursday. So I text Caitlin. I was like, hey, I got you a present, but it's not showing up till Thursday. She says, oh, I'll open it on the air. And I was like, yes, you will.
And that must have been even funnier to you knowing
Oh my gosh.
exactly what it was. Oh gosh, it's hysterical. At first I thought it was a vape pen. I was like, Jenny, what in the world?
Oh my gosh.
But that would have been cool
No.
too. You know, because of all the smoking.
No,
I
that
do.
would be like Mia on Fuller House.
What?
Yeah, there was an episode on Fuller House where they brought Mia back. Remember the girl who was a bad influence on Stephanie?
I do
And had
remember
her
that.
smoking in the bathroom.
Oh, shame
Well,
on her.
Mia is back
Oh.
and she vapes now. She was like, all the soccer moms do it.
Oh my God. All the soccer moms do it.
And DJ, of course, is like, you will not do that at my house.
I mean, I just going on the record, I don't smoke. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Okay, so I want to move into our real talk section. So we are on the brink of the baseball season finally starting.
Hallelujah, praise be.
I don't necessarily care about a lot of sports, but I do enjoy baseball. It's a thing that I enjoy having on in the house, and I pay actual attention to it. I have the MLB app, and I follow my teams, and I know what's going on. So now that the season is nearly here, we thought it might be a good idea to give our listeners a little bit of a rundown on how to play and what the vocab is, much like we did for football.
Right. Baseball is a big deal in my family.
Yeah.
I mentioned before that my son is Christopher Ryan after Nolan Ryan. We couldn't name him Christopher Nolan, then people think we would love Batman too much.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
John and I were also married on a baseball field.
Yes.
It's a big deal in our family. Our dog's name is Bagwell after the first baseman.
Yes. Did you also do a gender reveal where there was a baseball involved?
This is right. The way that we found out who Kit would be, whether he would be Rosemary or Kit, was with a Rosemary with a ceramic baseball full of that powder that you throw on Holly or at the color run.
I love it. That's awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through a bunch of baseball vocabulary, much like we did for football, where we did vocabulary first, and then we did rules and stuff the following week. So that's our plan. The sources for today are my brain, my husband's brain, and the MLB glossary, and the occasional Wikipedia search. And there's also one called "Why is a Baseball Dugout Underground?" So that's from Dugout Central.
Cool. And shout out to Miss O.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Definitely Miss O. Okay.
So the problem with baseball is that there's a lot of words, even at the basic level. The great thing about baseball is that most of these words make a lot of sense and they don't require much explanation. So I'm going to start with the most basic of basic things, which is the field itself, just to kind of orient you. So we have what's called the dugout. The dugout is the bench where the team members wait while they are not on the field. It's between home plate and first base, or home plate and third base, and teams get to choose which side they want to be on. The home team gets to choose. It's just anyone who's not authorized to be on the field hangs out in the dugout. This is not to be confused with the bullpen, which is a different part of the area where pitchers are warming up. Dugout, bullpen, two different things.
And bullpen has a double meaning.
Yes.
Because not only does it mean where the pitchers warm up, it also means who's on your pitching roster.
Exactly. And you're going to find that that's kind of the case for some of these baseball terms pretty frequently. Okay, so there's the first baseline and the third baseline. Sounds pretty obvious. The first baseline is one of the boundaries that determines a fair or foul ball, but it's on the first base side. The same thing with the third baseline. It determines if a ball is fair or foul on the third base side. The infield is the part of the field that is the diamond and like the dirt and everything inside.
It's the dirt.
Technically, like the only infield players are first base, second base, third base, and shortstop. The other two people who are considered on the infield area, the pitcher and the catcher, are not included in that, which is interesting. But it's the dirt. The outfield is the area outside of the dirt in the back, and it extends all the way across the back. And what's confusing for a lot of people is left field versus right field, because you're not sure how to orient yourself necessarily. So if you're standing on home plate and you're looking out at the diamond, right field is on your right side and left field is on the left. And
it's
then
kind of
center
that
field is in
stage
the middle.
left, stage right thing. It comes from the perspective of the actor. It comes from the perspective of the batter.
Right. And catcher.
And catcher.
Who's kind of controlling the whole game. That's getting all of the orienting of yourself sort of taken care of there. So much like in football, there's an offense and a defense, but in baseball, there's offense, defense, and pitching is kind of its own unique special thing. So I'm going to go through the defensive terms first because those are fast and short. So there's what's called an out. You've heard that term before, but you might not know what it means, but it's when a player at bat.
2, 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah, that. I'm not going to go over what a strike is. I don't think I need to. We'll get to that later. But when a player who's at bat or a base runner is tagged or retired by the team in the field. So an out can come from a strikeout or a ground out, which I'll talk about later, a pop out or a fly out. You can also kind of mess with a fielder and that can get you thrown out too. And you can hear, like, I'm going to use the words that you might hear an announcer use just to kind of help you understand what they're talking about. So you might hear down, you might hear retired, you might hear away, you might hear gone, you might hear put out. Retired is one that I hear more often than you might expect.
And remember, you have 3 outs, much like you have 4 downs, right? You have 4 chances to move the ball 10 yards in football. You have 3 outs when it's your turn. And so we hear away a lot coming from the defense saying, okay, we've got 2 away, because they only have to put away 1 more and then it's their turn to be on offense.
So You'll hear these other terms pretty commonly as well. There's a double play and a triple play.
Double play is my favorite thing in baseball.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
So you'll hear someone say they turned two or they doubled up. Sometimes it's called a pitcher's best friend. I have never heard that before, but turn two is super common.
Yep.
But it's when you get two offensive players, base runners, or a batter and a base runner out in the same play. A triple play would be if it happens with three players, three offensive players, and you are on the defense.
Double play, you're possible to see in every game. Double play, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
Triple
play, not so much. Yeah. An error. The way that my husband describes this is when a player screws up a quote routine play. So this is one that is of standard or basic difficulty that should be an out and somehow doesn't turn into one. So for example, if you drop a ball that you dive for, that is not an error because no one's expecting you to dive for a ball and catch it.
Right.
However, if you are about to catch a fly ball in the outfield and it comes down and it's in your hand and then you put your glove down and you drop it, then it would be an error.
Yeah. Or if a grounder runs between your feet.
Right.
Right. Or if you overthrow first base and you're playing short and you overthrow first base. These are times where the ball is misplayed.
This is something where it's like clearly someone goofed. That's when you get charged with an error. Okay, so those are just all the defensive terms I'm going to talk about because this could get super complicated and go super long. So I'm not going to do that. So offensive terms, we have an at-bat versus a plate appearance. They are two different things, although they sound really similar. And you will hear people say at-bat, meaning that someone is at the plate, but an at-bat is more official because it gets included in statistics differently. So an official at-bat comes with when a batter reaches first base on a hit or an error or is called out for any reason other than as part of a sacrifice. Or there is this thing called a fielder's choice, which is doesn't really need to be gone into too much, but basically it's when the fielder, instead of throwing to first to get someone out, which is the routine play, they might opt to throw out a runner who is going from second to third.
Right.
So that's an official at bat. But a plate appearance is any time a person goes up and bats.
Regardless of the outcome.
Right. So you could strike out, you could get hit by a pitch. It doesn't matter. Any reason that you show up at the plate is a plate appearance. Make sense? Yes? Yes. Okay. So then we have a hit. This sounds obvious.
But you know what? In baseball, nothing is obvious.
Nothing really
Nothing is obvious because a hit isn't a hit.
Right.
Contact does not necessarily a hit make.
Exactly. Because if the ball goes into foul territory, it's not a hit. And foul territory is on the outside of that diamond, along the dugouts in the dirt, right? So you have to get the ball, you have to hit the ball with your bat into fair territory, and you have to get on base without an error happening or without a fielder choosing to, doing the fielder's choice thing where they choose to throw to another base instead of first. Okay. It would be, you'll hear people say base hit a lot. So if you hear base hit, you just know that's an actual hit. So they did it right.
Or an extra base hit is if you've made a double.
We are going to get into that.
Oh, sorry.
In just a second. No, you're good. No, we're going to get into it.
I'm just a star student.
Let's do those. So an extra base hit is any hit except for a single. So that would include a double, a triple, or a home run. Okay. So a single is when, exactly.
Can also be an extra base hit.
A single is when a batter gets a hit and makes it safely to first. A double is when they get a hit and make it safely to second. And a triple is when they hit and they get safely to third. A home run is when they hit the ball and they make it safely all the way around the bases to touch home plate. Okay. A grand slam is when the batter gets a hit and makes it safely all the way around the bases to touch home plate. And there were runners on first, second, and third bases. So that means they drive in 3 runs plus themselves. So it's a score of 4.
Yes.
Okay. So all of these factor into these 2 numbers that I'm going to go into, which you'll hear all the time. And there's only a few stats that I want to get into, but I do need to talk about these because they matter. So one of them is your batting average. Your batting average is the number of hits that you get per plate appearance. Okay. So for example, if you make 4 plate appearances and in those 4 plate appearances you get 1 hit, your batting average is a 0.250. Okay. 25%. That's your batting average. Nobody says 25%. People will put the actual like 3 decimal point number up.
This is where the colloquialism, you're batting 1,000, comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Because 1,000 would be the perfect base percentage, right? Your batting average is
Is 1.
written instead of 25. Yeah, instead of written by 25% or
Mhm.
even saying 0.25, they say
Mhm.
250, and it's 250
Mhm.
out of 1,000, right?
Right.
Or as the math teacher in me wants to say, 251 thousandths.
Right.
So when you tell a kid, man, you got in trouble 7 times today, you're really batting 1,000 on this one. You're saying you haven't missed a mark.
Mhm. And what that would mean is if you were batting 1,000, that would mean every single time you went to the plate, you got a hit.
You are base.
Every single time. And not like an error or whatever. It was like you always got a official hit, which would be impressive. So if you're batting 250, that's 1 hit in 4 plate appearances, 4 at-bats, not plate appearances. Okay. So when you get to other percentages, the other one that I want to talk about is slugging percentage. So this one is one that I didn't necessarily understand, but I got it now. So this is a stat that measures a hitter's power. So your batting average is the number of hits you're getting, whereas the slugging percentage is the power of the hit that you get. So it is the number of bases that you get per at bat. So let's say that you have that 1 hit in 4 at bats. So your batting average is 250. But that 1 hit that you got was a home run. That means that your slugging percentage is 100%.
I see.
Because you went all the way around the bases. So it's a little bit strange. So but you can have a batting average of 250 but have a slugging percentage of 1,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and a 250 batting average is kind of medium, right?
Yeah, it is.
Above 250 in the 280 range, pretty good. Above 300, stellar.
300, yeah. Yeah, that's probably about where I'd say I would be shooting for if I were hoping to be a baseball player.
Yeah, because you can't win them all, guys.
No. No. Okay, so there's a couple of other things I want to make sure I mention along with hits. I think I mentioned fair and foul before, but I'm not sure if I defined them. So a fair ball is one that's hit into play between the first and third baselines. If a ball is close to those baselines, like it's on the edge, it can't bounce for the first time in foul territory. If it's a foul ball, it's a ball hit into play outside of the lines. So fair is inside, foul is outside. You can hit as many foul balls as you can.
Yeah.
The only issue is in order to kind of keep the game moving, they'll take off 2 of your strikes. So you do get 2 strikes, but then after that, your foul balls don't count against you.
And fans in the crowd will say, that's right. Stay alive, because you are still at the plate.
Right.
And while you're working up against 2 strikes, you're still making contact with the ball. You're still there. And then they'll also say, that's right. Make him work for it. Because that's that's pitch count against the pitcher's outing. And it's putting some stress on the pitcher there.
Right. There's a couple of other ones I want to get into with offense. There's a sacrifice bunt and a sacrifice fly. These are intentional, not gaffes necessarily, but you're intentionally sacrificing yourself with the hope that you're going to advance the runners. So the sacrifice is you not getting onto base. You know you're going to be out with one of these hits, but you're hoping that the runners who are on those bases are going to advance and potentially score. So a sac bunt is when you are going to kind of tap the ball as lightly as you can somewhere close to the catcher in that space, because you know that somebody behind the pitcher is going to be running. A sac fly is when you hit a massive fly ball out into the outfield, knowing that someone's going to catch it, to get you out.
But giving the runner on third enough time to come in and score.
Exactly.
It's a noble, noble thing to do.
You will see like a regular bunt. A bunt is not necessarily a sacrifice bunt.
This
They're
is
not
true.
always, yeah. So like before we had designated hitters in the National League, God bless, you would see pitchers who would bunt.
Yeah, it's guaranteed contact. You're holding the bat with two hands almost in a horizontal fashion instead of swinging it and trying to line it up against the ball to make some contact, and in the hopes that you will bring the ball close enough on the infield that someone's got to run and go grab it and you can make it to first base before the throw makes it there.
Exactly. Okay, so there's a couple other ways you could get on base that would factor into your on base percentage. Your on base percentage is how frequently a batter reaches a base per plate appearance, including hits, walks, and hit by pitches. So we got to talk about what those are. A hit by pitch is obvious. You get hit by a pitch, you're not supposed to get hit by a pitch, you get to take a base.
Take your base.
If you get hit by a pitch and there's someone on first base,
They advance.
that person will advance. If there's no one on first base, then no one advances. So if there's someone on second but no one
They
on
don't get
first,
to go
the
to
person
third.
has to stay on second. Right. Like kickball rules, right?
Right.
Okay, so if there's a walk, that's when the pitcher throws 4 balls. We'll talk about what those are in a second. It's like base on balls. Basically, it just means that the pitcher goofed up 4 times and you got to take a base.
Take your base.
An intentional walk is different from a regular walk. An intentional walk is when the defending team chooses to walk a batter on purpose, putting them on first base on purpose instead of letting him try to hit. This could happen for a couple of reasons. One of which is that there's a really good hitter at the plate and the pitcher doesn't want to give them the opportunity to hit a home run or whatever it is. Or maybe there's a better batter on deck who would be better for the pitcher to pitch against. For example, maybe the person on deck is a lefty and the pitcher's a lefty, and lefty on lefty isn't always easy for the batter. So you might choose to intentionally walk the person before the lefty just to ensure that you're giving yourself an advantage.
They could be setting it up to turn 2.
That's another reason to do it. So a lot of the times these intentional walks happen with no one on first, but they can happen when there's someone on first base if you're planning to set something up.
If you're watching the game, an intentional walk is very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
The pitcher and the catcher kind of change their stance.
Mm-hmm.
The catcher might even walk away from the plate,
Mm-hmm.
and the pitcher is throwing the ball very far away, very outside of the strike zone, which we'll talk about later. But you can watch this, and when you see the catcher stand up and go catch the ball 5 feet away from the batter, you say, "Oh, they're walking him?"
Exactly. And this actually, you used to have to intentionally walk someone by throwing 4 balls. You don't even have to do that anymore. The manager can actually signal an intentional walk from the dugout and let whoever the powers that be, the umpire, know this is an intentional walk. And it can happen at any point during the plate appearance. So it would automatically put the player on base. Okay, so the other couple things. A run and RBI we got to talk about. So RBI comes from running, right? A run is when a player on the offensive side, on the batting side, crosses home plate to score. Every run is 1 point. It's not like football where you can score different numbers of points. Every run is always 1.
And we don't use the word points in baseball. We call them runs.
No, we call them runs.
Just like in soccer, you don't call them points, you call them goals.
Right. So RBI is a statistic for runs batted in. A batter gets an RBI in most cases when the result of that batter's plate appearance is a run being scored.
Right.
So when that plate appearance drives in a run, that counts as an RBI for that player. So you can get an RBI for if the bases are loaded and you get walked, or if you get hit by a pitch, because technically your plate appearance resulted in a run coming in. You cannot get an RBI when the run that you score is the result of an error.
Yeah.
So like if somebody goofs up while you're at bat and then they end up scoring or your team ends up scoring as a result of that, that doesn't count for you as
it's
an
like
RBI.
Double jeopardy, right? You can't get charged with the same crime twice. They're not going to give one team, one player an error and then another team, another player an RBI. It's one of the other folks.
Right. Okay, so the last one is a stolen base, which most of us probably know, but I still feel like I want to mention it. But this is when a base runner advances to the next base without being entitled to it. This would be when if you're watching, what's the movie? Willie Mays Hayes. What's the one with the Cleveland Indians?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Major League.
Major League. Thank you.
Wild Thing. Dun-na, dun-na-na. Yeah.
Charlie Sheen. Yeah, exactly. So this is Willie Mays Hayes. Stealing a base is when there's no ball in play necessarily. The pitcher has the ball in his hand and you go for it.
We have
try and
all
get to the next
played
base.
red light, green light.
Mm-hmm.
That is preparing you for stealing a base. It's red light when I turn around and look at you. It's green light when my back is to you. Pitcher's back is to you. You're on second base. You're going to run to third. If you're fast enough and your third base coach tells you to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about, the last little section of these baseball vocab terms has everything to do with pitching. Pitching is incredibly important. Everything lives or die on the pitch, and it's just it's its own entity in baseball. So a pitch is the throw that is made to the batter, and you'll hear different types. There's a curveball, there's a fastball, there's a slider, there's a knuckleball, there's a
change up,
two-seam fastball, change up. There's all these different things, and I would tell you what the differences were between them, except that I can't necessarily eye them when I'm watching it on TV, but I know a fastball when I see it, and I know a ball that's in the strike zone when I see it.
Right. And in order to enjoy this game, you do not need to be able to identify the pitches. Just like in order to enjoy football, you do not need to know what a blitz is.
You don't need that at all. So, okay. So we have a strike zone and we have everything outside the strike zone. So I want you to picture a batter at the plate and there's those two boxes that the batter will stand in, right? The space in between where home plate is located in the center of those two, there's like an imaginary rectangle right over that space. And it kind of goes
knees to numbers.
Yeah, knees to numbers. I was going to say like a little bit below the knee, like on top of the calf to like roughly shoulders, right? So that space, it's about that wide between those two boxes, that's called the strike zone. And if a ball from the pitcher is thrown and it ends, the catcher like catches it within that rectangle, then it's in the strike zone. And if the batter misses it, then it would be a strike. If it's not in that space, if it's thrown outside of that strike zone, it's called a ball.
And it's a strike whether you swing on it and miss or you just look at it and it runs right by you.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see sometimes a hitter will
check,
almost swing at it. It's called a check.
As long as you don't break your wrist.
Exactly. The break of the wrist means that you bent it. If you bent your wrist, then that's called breaking. And if you don't break, then you might get called for a ball. But if you swing at it, then you're done. Okay. So you also will hear the term wild pitch. And that's when a pitch is just so nutso that the catcher can't control it. Like the catcher can't catch it. And usually what ends up happening is a base runner could advance and you could end up with an error in that situation for sure.
Do you know, CK, that we have a friend who holds the collegiate record for most strikeouts as well as most wild pitches?
Do we?
Yeah.
She did that? That's funny.
Most strikeouts, most wild pitches.
Wasn't she also on that science show of like, she was on a TV show. They used her as a statistic for the speed at which softball players throw the ball.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's on a TV show. I have to find it. She's probably like screaming it and laughing as we try and figure this out because she's easily told me like 4 times what the name of the show. It was like sports psychology. I don't know. That's probably the name of a class I took in high school. It doesn't matter. Either way, she was like, that's really cool. She's legit.
Yes.
She's a really good player.
Too legit to quit.
To quit. She hasn't quit. She still coaches. Jenny's doing the too legit to quit hand signals at me. Okay. So okay.
I found my people.
You're so old. Old nerd. That's you. Okay, so the other one that we gotta talk about is a balk. Not a ball, a balk. B-A-L-K. Okay, this is when a pitcher makes an illegal motion on the mound. And basically, it looks like you're lying to the base runner. If you start your pitch motion and then you stop it to throw to a base, but you don't throw it to that base to try and tag the runner out, it's a balk.
You can check your swing. You can't check your pitch.
Right. So this is related to what's called a pickoff. A pickoff occurs when a pitcher throws a ball to a fielder, like a first baseman or a second baseman or a third baseman. Usually it's going to be first base, to try to tag out the base runner. So the thing that's hard about this is if you're a left-handed pitcher, you're probably going to be better at picking off runners than a right-handed pitcher. And the reason is because most pickoffs happen at first base, and lefties, left-handed pitchers, are facing first base. So they have a better chance at keeping an eye on a runner who might, say, attempt to steal or something like that. And usually this is done, this pickoff or this balk is an attempt to try and keep the runner on first close to the bag. You'll see players who are on base sort of creep out a little bit. Could be in an attempt to steal a base. It could just be to get a head start on a run.
We call that leading off.
If you see them start to lead off or creep out a little bit, then you might see a pitcher try and pick them off.
Now, let me tell you this.
Yes.
First off, asterisk, okay? CPS,
Mhm.
you don't need to be called. We didn't actually do it. But when Kit started to learn to throw, John suggested that we tie his right hand behind his back and try and make him a left-handed pitcher.
Have you heard the phrase, put it in his left hand?
Yeah.
This is why, okay?
He was like, what if we just tie his right hand away and he can't use it?
They are statistically harder to hit off of, and they have an advantage in that they can more easily pick off base runners than a right-handed pitcher. Now, I will say this, my son is playing t-ball and he is a lefty batter and sometimes the occasional lefty thrower. We don't know what's going to happen with the throwing, but he writes right-handed, but he's a lefty batter.
Hey,
It's interesting. I mean, if you could
I
be a
can
switch
hook you
hitter,
up with
that'd
a
be really
rope if
cool.
you need it.
We got an extension cord. It's fine.
Oh,
No big deal.
Little duct tape. We're good to go.
Yep, we're great.
We are not doing this.
We do not condone any of this behavior. So we've got a fly out and a ground out. A fly out is kind of like a sacrifice fly, except ain't no sacrificing happening. When a batter hits the ball in the air and an opposing defender catches it before it hits the ground or the fence, a ground out is when a batter hits the ball on the ground to a fielder who records an out pretty quickly. You'll see those things happen every game.
Yeah, this is like kickball, right? You catch it, you're out. Third first base before you get there? Yeah.
So a strikeout is when a pitcher throws 3 balls, pitches in the strike zone, and the hitter either gets 2 fouls and misses the ball or doesn't hit any of them, or what else? I have that, right?
If the pitcher throws 3 balls, but the batter swings at all of them.
At all 3, there it is.
If you swing and you miss, that's a strike.
You'll see fans in the stands with K posters, with K signs. A K is when the pitcher gets a strikeout. If the third strike call is one where the batter doesn't swing, then the K is a backwards K.
Caught you looking.
Exactly. A save is when a relief pitcher comes in and keeps the team's lead. There's more to it than that. It's more nuanced.
You get the save. If your team is winning, you come in and you close the game.
Exactly. Oh, let's talk about an unearned run real quick before I forget about this one. I should have talked about it earlier. An unearned run. This is any run that is scored because of an error. This is meaning like
you didn't earn it. You got it.
Exactly that. You didn't, you got the run, but you didn't do anything. It was someone else's error, and that was why you got a run.
The run goes on the board. It's added to your score, but it is unearned.
Okay. ERA stands for earned run average. This is the number of earned runs a pitcher gives up per 9 innings. This is like golf. You want a low number. This is how many runs people earn off
Right.
of
This is
you.
a pitching statistic. If you are not a pitcher, you don't have an ERA.
Right. For example, if you give up 3 runs in 9 innings, you have an ERA of 3. If you give up 3 runs in 27 innings, you have an ERA of 1. If you gave up 25 runs in 96 innings, I did this on purpose because I knew Jenny wouldn't be able to calculate it right away. You have an ERA of 0.26. Okay. You
I
want
knew it
low
was
numbers.
more than
It is
0.25
possible.
because it wasn't out of 100.
Jenny's over here like
I
giving me
am.
numbers on her
I'm like
fingers as I'm
flashing to
doing
her,
this.
and then she's, throwing me a 96 games. Like, wait, what?
Did you think I wasn't prepared? Well, it's per 9 innings, so it couldn't have been out of 100. It wouldn't have made sense to do it out of 100. It still would have messed it up.
Right.
Right? So if your ERA is below 1, that's a good thing. You want to have a low ERA. Low ERA, high batting average, high RBIs, high slugging percentage. Okay. Do want to talk about the difference between a no-hitter and a perfect
Shh!
game.
Don't talk about it. Shh! Can't talk about a no-hitter.
That's true. That's the superstition. You're not supposed to talk about it. But I am going to define it so that you know what it is. And then you know to keep your mouth shut
When
it's happening. Exactly. There are 2 different situations here. A no-hitter is when a pitcher or pitchers do not allow a hit during the course of a game. That is a 9-inning game. A batter could reach a base by walking, or an error, or they're hit by a pitch, or there's a pass ball or a wild pitch. But basically, it's when the only reason that anyone gets on base is because of something that is not a hit.
Do you know who holds the record for the most no-hitters and how many?
I feel
he
like
has?
Nolan Ryan's going to come up in this, but I don't know.
He has thrown 7. It's Nolan Ryan, and he's thrown 7. Sandy Koufax is number 2 with 4. Now, Sandy Koufax threw a perfect game. Nolan Ryan hasn't thrown a perfect game.
So a perfect game is different. A perfect game is a matchup between 2 teams when no player on the enemy team has reached a base for any reason. No errors, no walks, no hit by pitch, no wild pitches.
3 up, 3 down, 9 times.
Right. Like it's so hard to do that. Again, because of all the different ways you could end up on base, it's very difficult to do that, but it has happened.
In the 150 years that we've had Major League Baseball, there have only been 23 perfect games, and no pitcher has thrown more than 1. The most recent was 2012, Felix Hernandez with the Mariners.
Okay, so see, it's been 10 years since we've had a perfect game.
Randy Johnson threw 1. He also killed a bird with a pitch. So
back when with the old Arizona logo.
I watched that game. I was not there, but I watched it live on television. And my dad and I were just like, did he just kill a bird? Like,
how often have you ever seen a bird fly in that particular spot? Like that never
and he couldn't do it again if he tried.
No. Okay, so I think I've covered just about all that I possibly could on all this.
Okay, before we close, I have to tell you.
Yes.
When we did this lesson with some 7th and 8th grade students I had one year, we're explaining all the rules of the game and all the words because we were going to take all of them to a ball game.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the lesson, one of the kids who plays baseball says, all right, let's talk about superstition, because superstition is such a huge part of the baseball culture.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that teams will do, right? Like they don't wash their socks if they're lucky, or they don't change their clothes, or maybe they'll grow a playoff beard or whatever. But some traditions, superstitions that baseball fans enjoy is singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the 7th inning stretch, or having the first pitch of the game thrown out by some kind of celebrity or honorable guest. This pitch isn't actually part of the game. It's just the first pitch is like an opening ceremony.
Mhm.
When you walk on the field, you should not step on the foul line. When you walk off the field, you should not step on the foul line.
Yep.
You might draw a symbol in the dirt as part of your plate appearance before you start to swing, draw something. One of my favorite players always adjusts his glove 3 times. It's glove, glove, glove. He shakes his helmet 3 times and then he swings. And we talked about another one. When there's a no-hitter going on, you don't talk about it.
Yeah, there's some good ones. And so here's our plan. Baseball runs deep in our family, as I've said. And so my father-in-law is the voice of Austin's AAA team, the Round Rock Express. And we're intending to talk to him about some of these rules and some of these superstitions and just get his perspective on strategy in the game. Because the game is fairly, while it's complicated, it's also very easy
Right.
in some ways, right? It's just like kickball, only with the bet. So, but we're going to get his perspective on the game, what he thinks people need to know if they're new fans or if they want to become new fans. And we can't wait to bring that to you because
Yeah.
it'll be fun to have
So
him come on.
definitely stay tuned for next week. And bring your peanuts
Mhm.
and your popcorn
And your Cracker Jack.
and your Cracker Jack,
Yeah.
which were the refreshments we had at our wedding. And we passed them out before the ceremony with beers. So people could sit in the stadium and eat their snacks and drink their beer while we got married.
That's genius. Although I will say my ceremony was 10 minutes long. So I really like it was hot, but it was only 10 minutes. We can talk about our wedding some other time.
Yeah, no.
My advice on that is hire a wedding coordinator because then you don't have to deal with it. You're welcome. The end.
All right. So whether you're planning a wedding or deciding whether or not it's time to wash your socks because your team is on a winning streak, make good choices.
And use your gift cards and get excited for baseball season coming soon.
Take me out to the ball game.
Yay. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.